All right, this is a long Langstroth hive. It's a type of horizontal hive. This is made out of a 2x12 that goes around, that's not pressure treated because you don't want pressure treated wood on the inside of the hive. So it's painted with exterior latex paint on the outside. Underneath this roof metal is actually two coats of the same paint. The seam at the top is caulked underneath this, and the legs are pressure treated. This has a latch here and a latch here, and you open it up like this. It's not quite level, but you can still see it's stable. And then inside of the hive, this is actually foam insulation, rigid foam insulation, and I painted it to make it look nicer, but it has spray foam, great stuff, foam in there, and I've cut that flush and then painted it just to make it look nice. If we look right here, there is some hardware cloth right here for ventilation, but the bees can't get in there, and other bigger things can't get in there. There's another one on this other side that matches it. And if we open it back up, you can see that the air can flow through here, and there's a gap here that can flow under. And I actually didn't want it to go straight through because I wanted this to act as a baffle so that there can't be too much wind flowing through there. So in the wintertime, you can put a little ball or something, or a cloth or something in each one of these holes to help it retain a lot more heat. And because this is so much insulation compared to any kind of normal beehive, conventional beehive, that's a pretty big plus. And also there's an air gap to some extent in between this metal, maybe not air gap, but there's in some places there is an air gap, but that extra layer between there can help that air flow out of there and regulate temperature, so I think that's a plus. There are two entrances. One of the entrances is on this side. The other entrance is on the other side, on the opposite corner. So when you're opening the hive, this is not the primary entrance. This entrance is the primary entrance. The reason this is the primary entrance is that as you open that, the bees are going in and out of that entrance and not over here next to you, so they hopefully aren't as aggravated, if they're going to be aggravated at all. This has a piece of plywood for a hive top feeder, so this is a snug fit, which is what I wanted it to be. You can put this on here. I like this kind of feeder, that's why I'm using it. But you can maybe use something a little bit taller with a little bit of space in here. Not crazy tall, but it'll at least accommodate this type and maybe a couple other types. This right here has a ventilation piece, but I've also got some others to replace it. So if you didn't want a ventilation piece in there, wintertime, whatnot, you don't have to use that. These are all designed to be a real snug fit in here so that the bees can't get through from the top or into this top part, because you don't want the bees up in here. The bees are meant to stay in here. So with a long Langstroth and other kinds of horizontal hives, that's something that's different than a conventional Langstroth hive. Also, I've made a divider board, and this divider board allows you to be able to put your frames in here. That's one without foundation, here's one with foundation. The idea is that you can section off your hive, and you can have it shrunk down, or you can have it larger. I'm kind of using this in here for storage just to show what I'm doing. And then I also made this screened divider board. So this screened divider board can help you split colonies. There's hardware, 1/8 inch hardware cloth on both sides. So you could theoretically have a divider here, put some brood over here, some bees on both sides of this, and even if you drilled another hole, say a 3/8 hole, which is about right for bees, you can go bigger, 1/2 inch, but the bees like small holes actually. So you could actually, theoretically, you could split hives in here up to having 3 colonies total. And then these go on top. They mount on top, so they're a little bit proud of that top right there. So that's the long Langstroth hive, and let me see if there's anything else. I guess one last feature that I do want to mention. Just set this in here for a second. This is R-panel roofing. This is not normal, but I'm trying to think of how to make this in a way where this is more like conventional building rather than typical beehive construction, because beehives tend to not last very long, the hive bodies. I put this framing to where it's proud of the body of the hive, so that as the roofing goes even past that, there's a drip edge that's clear of that, so by the time you're back to the hive body, it's say roughly 3 inches. So with the framing of this, you can see why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm putting this extended out past here, but not covering this inside lip. I didn't want to paint this because I don't like that sticky sound when the paint is sticking to something and kind of getting pulled off of there. Plus, I would rather have less paint on the interior of the hive, so I try to paint as little of this top part as possible. I actually did caulk these seams, a lot of the screw holes, that sort of thing. Not so much on the underside caulking, but anything that's going to get weather damage, because this is an untreated piece of 2x12 and each one of these sides. So those need to be treated, those need to be protected if they're not treated lumber. And then there's 3/8 plywood on the underside that's set into a rabbet all around that was routed out. And I think that's about it. So that's the long Langstroth hive. And if you want to make something like this, you can make something like this. There are plans online. But I just wanted to show the differences of a long Langstroth hive that's easier to use. You know, people get older, they just don't want to lift boxes anymore, they have disability. This is just a different setup that kind of looks nice and has a lot of benefits over a conventional Langstroth hive.